Yeah,
You running?
I guess.
I saw that come up, but now it's
So-
official.
Six, but that's like a minute behind.
Yeah, my phone says 6.
Call to order. Do they make the motion after, or they have to do it now?
You can make a motion before, don't you?
To do the temporary chairman?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We,
Go ahead now. I move for trustee Gerger to be our temporary chairman.
just do a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it.
The mayor is obviously absent tonight, so.
Okay. I'm in a moment of silence. Pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Trustee Mann.
Present.
Trustee Gerger.
Present.
Trustee Charo.
Present.
Trustee Detmers.
Here.
Trustee Mao.
Here.
Trustee Shergill.
Present. Okay, public announcements. Okay.
First of all, we're having Memorial Day services on the square on May the 27th. It starts at 10 a.m. And do we have to ask permission to use the park? I think I usually just come up and say, hey, we're going to be doing the ceremonies, and you say, go ahead and go for it. So,
We're okay with that? Yep.
okay.
You go ahead and go for it.
Thank you, and enjoy your meeting.
Unless if it is rained out, it will be at the Legion.
Be at the American Legion.
I only ask that because of our current weather's track record, so.
Okay, public comments on agenda topics. I've got Darlene.
I just have a puzzling question. I noticed on the warrants that AT&T was the mobile service that the village has now.
Yes,
When did you vote to do that?
we didn't vote. We just switched.
Oh, we paid to get out of the
No,
contract for AT&T when you switched from that to Verizon, and now
no,
you switch back to AT&T?
no.
What was on the warrants some time ago that there was a charge for, I don't remember.
We still have some Verizon cards in the wireless things that we have that read the meters.
No, I'm
There's a-
saying when you switched to Verizon, you paid a fee because the contract had not expired, I guess is what you would say. And now you're back with AT&T, it just doesn't make any sense to me. That's
Well,
just-
they keep coming in and offering us lower prices.
Well, I understand that, but I thought that the trustees voted on things such as that also, just to have the knowledge of.
No,
Well, it's something that costs the village more than $25,000 in a year. And I thought that that had to be voted on when that happened. Just wondering. I know I don't get any answers.
just
Thank you, Darlene. All right, motion to bring the consent agenda forward.
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Mao,
I'll second.
seconded by Trustee Detmers. Any discussion? Okay. Clerk, roll call.
Trustee Mann.
Yes.
Trustee Gerger.
Yes.
Trustee Charo.
Yes.
Trustee Detmers.
Yes.
Trustee Mao.
Yes.
Trustee Shergill.
Yes. Old business, we've got none. New business, resolution approving insurance renewals from Blue Cross Blue Shield, Dearborn National, and MetLife for the Village of Chatham effective July 1, 2019. Have a motion to bring that forward.
I'll make that motion. I'll second.
Trustee Mao, seconded by Trustee Mann. Any discussion? You guys,
Ended up with a 4.5% increase on our Blue Cross Blue Shield.
which is incredible.
It was originally 11, and they went back and talked to them and got them down to 4.5. So that covered the medical and the dental. The eye care is through
Dearborn?
MetLife, and it was a 4% increase for the eye care, and Dearborn for the death and dismemberment. The rate stayed the same as last year.
Oh, good.
We were happy with those.
Any questions from anybody? All right. Roll.
Trustee Mann?
Yes.
Trustee Gerger?
Yes.
Charo?
Yes.
Trustee Detmers?
Yes.
Trustee Mao?
Yes.
Trustee Scherzo?
Yes. Okay, second thing on the list, a resolution approving a collective bargaining agreement between the Village of Chatham and the Fraternal Order of Police, Unit 821. You want to say anything, Chief Foley, or any discussion from the trustees? Any questions of Chief Foley?
We worked on this for over a year.
Yep.
It's a decent agreement. Not exactly what the board was looking for, but it'll work for the next 3 years. So, ended up, first year of the contract got a 2.75 increase, second year 2.5, and the third year 2.5. And then in turn, the union gave concessions on dependent insurance, and they cover 2% more each of those 3 years. So working our way so that we can get it so that the dependent coverage is a little more in line with what other communities have.
Good.
Other than that, everything else was pretty much straightforward. A few little tweaks here and there, but those were the two major items in it.
Okay. Any discussion from trustees?
No, just again, no changes since we discussed in the last executive session, right?
And after it gets all signed, I will scan it and then we'll put it on the village webpage with the rest of the contracts.
All right. Roll.
You need a motion.
Or need a motion to bring it? Yeah, sorry.
I'll move. I'll second.
Trustee Churchill, second by Trustee Mann. Roll.
Trustee Mann?
Yes.
Trustee Gerger?
Yes.
Charo?
Yes.
Trustee Detmers?
Yes.
Trustee Mao?
Yes.
Trustee Scherzo?
Yes.
Just want to thank again Pat and Vern for all the work you guys put into this. I know it was tough, so thank you.
Agreed.
Appreciate it.
Number 3, resolution confirming the appointment of Jared Kester to the Board of Fire and Police Commission for the Village of Chatham. Can I have a motion to bring that?
So moved.
Trustee Churchill,
I'll second.
seconded by Trustee Detmers. Do we have any discussion?
I just have a question on this. How long has Jared been on the police commission?
We think 4 years? Yeah.
Is that all? Because I thought we've approved him once or twice before. That's why I wondered.
I don't recall.
It's you might be thinking of when we set up the terms
Yeah.
a year or so
Yeah.
ago.
A year or so ago, we
There were
had
some
to
others and
set their terms.
set the terms. I think that was about a year ago. And they were staggered
Okay.
for all three.
So this will be another 4-year term.
And then there's the 2 others aren't up for, we did the one last year.
One will be next year.
One will be next year.
I
Yeah.
think this is a 3-year term.
Or you're right, they are 3.
We vote on one every year?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Any more discussion?
He was on also the Public Properties Committee,
Right.
and Dave asked him to pick that he didn't want someone serving on two committees, so. Actually, we wanted him to be on the police one. He's the public representative. There's a retired state police officer on there, and there's an active state police officer on there, as well as Jared.
Okay. Yeah, roll.
Trustee Mann.
Yes.
Trustee Gerger.
Yes.
Trustee Charo.
Yes.
Trustee Detmers.
Yes.
Trustee Mao.
Yes.
Trustee Sherjo.
Yes.
Resolution confirming the appointment of Lisa Smith, Shauna Workman, Scott Curtis, and Paul Marconi to the Public Properties and Recreation Commission. Can I have a motion to bring that forward?
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Detmers,
Second?
seconded by Trustee Churchill. Any discussion?
Lisa and Shauna are reappointments. Scott and Paul are new. One has taken the place of Jared. The other one has taken the place of Craig Olson, who just recently moved out of the village.
Okay.
I thought we were going to start getting the interest letters or interest sheets from people when we had these openings on these committees. Did they not, I never got one. Did they get sent out and I just didn't get one, or? Because I thought that was what we were.
We ask people that are interested if they want to re-up, and then we put out there that there are openings on committees, and those two gentlemen put their request in to be on the committee.
So we don't
received no
know.
other ones.
So we don't send out those qualification things if, I mean, to me, it's good to know why they want to be on it and what they're involved in, and, so, we're, just not willy-nilly appointing, person X and Y, and,
Well,
I mean, because I think
I
it's,
sent him to the mayor. It's his appointment,
it,
your guys' consent.
yeah.
So if he wants them to go on to you, I would imagine he would send them on to you. Or maybe in this case, since we had 4 openings and we only had 4 people.
Yeah.
And I know Mr. Marconi was planning on being here tonight, but he couldn't make it. But I know he's very involved in all aspects of Chatham and all.
He actually came to the meeting last night, even though he
Yeah.
wasn't appointed. And Scott Curtis was going to, but then he had to cancel at the very last.
I mean, I don't know either, gentlemen. That's why I thought in the
Understand.
past that's something we had decided we were going to do.
It would be good to get.
Yeah, I think personally how I address these is that once I hear somebody's interested, then I reach out to them to understand, hey, what is your intention? Why are you doing this? So that's just how I personally address it.
Well, and that's a good policy, but yet I didn't receive anything from the mayor either, so.
I didn't either.
Right, I didn't either, but.
So to back up Matt's point, I think, yeah, we need to, revisit that conversation because, yeah, we have talked about that in the past, so we'll have to talk to President Kimsey about that. Although I have no issue with any of the
Sure.
individuals and, great that they volunteer for it.
And I just happen to know, I know everybody but the Lisa Smith. So, I mean, I know that they're good. They'll be an asset to that. But yeah, I wouldn't disagree.
So what are we saying? Just, I think we should make it clear what our ask might be, and that is if there are any openings on any commissions that we publicize the opening.
Well, at least
in the
amongst
paper.
amongst the board members, that
Whatever
we'd
President
be extend the
Kinsey
courtesy, extend the courtesy of, hey, here's the people that I'm choosing to put into these positions, and then we have the informed consent. We're giving consent really on no other information other than.
And it's-
Right. No, I mean, I'd heard about these people because I know them and I'm now a member of the Public Properties Commission, but when I see them on the agenda, I'll reach out to them in that case. So yeah, I think maybe a more advanced notice might be helpful and we can then get in touch with those that we don't already know.
Because where you run it, you're not running into a problem now because there's 4 people and there's 4 spots. But what if we had 9 people request? And there was 4 spots, then it'd be good for us to just see all who and what they brought to the table. But like Pat said, this is all you got, right?
This is all we got, but
Yeah.
I don't know if we got 9, I don't know if Dave would send you all 9 or he would send you
Right.
4 that he would like to have you guys vote for.
Right.
So I
Yeah, I did read the ordinance.
think that's probably a discussion you guys ought to have with him. Okay.
And it's his decision that he just simply seeks our counsel on. So
Right.
I think to your point, we can provide him better counsel if we have the chance to reach out and vet these people.
Well, and even in my opinion too, as far as renewals go, I think we should still look at collectively a whole, everybody that's interested, because it's great you've been on there 8 years, but, Joe Smith wants to do it too. Well, let's give Joe a chance. So,
Sure.
I think we should put everybody in the bowl and look at everybody equally, renewal or not, so.
Yep. No, I don't disagree.
Okay.
Perhaps that's what Dave did.
I don't know.
Roll call.
Trustee Mann.
Yes.
Trustee Gerger.
Yes.
Trustee Charo.
Yes.
Trustee Detmers.
Yes.
Trustee Mao.
Yes.
Trustee Churchill.
Yes. Number 5, a resolution for maintenance under the Illinois Highway Code. I have a motion to bring this forward.
So moved.
Trustee Churchill,
I'll second.
second by Trustee Mann. What do we got here, Pat?
This is our MFT program for the year. Our funds that we have that we will be expending in this next calendar year for MFT is $346,060.70. And that is spread out over items such as sidewalk and curbs, around $19,000, almost $20,000 there. Bituminous patching, just under $25,000. Salt and winter maintenance, around $33,000. Roadside maintenance, around $25,000. Street sweeping, around 10. Traffic control devices, around 5. Seal coat, $25,000. Pavement markings, about $1,500. $5,000 for crack sealing. And grading and ditch reshaping, around $25,000. PCC pavement patching, material only, $25,000. And then a payment for the Park Avenue project that's just finishing up is $105,000.
As far as the salt goes, Pat, did we have much left over from last year? Or?
I think we did have a decent amount, but we always try to put in what we estimate from year to year. If we don't need to buy it, we don't. We only have a certain amount of storage for it.
And it's always good that we have it on hand, because if we have a sneak,
We buy that off of the state bid contract.
Pat, what did you say the total amount was? $346,060. I think that number's different than, maybe I've got an old one.
Resolution.
A new one came out today.
Okay, all right,
Okay. We had to do some updates.
all right, just so, make sure. Okay.
And then you're right, you did. All right.
Any
Good.
further discussion? All right, roll.
Trustee Mann.
Yes.
Trustee Gerger.
Yes.
Trustee Charo.
Yes.
Trustee Detmers.
Yes.
Trustee Mao.
yes.
And Trustee Churchill.
Yes. Okay, public comments on village business. I've got Darlene.
Is that for the committee of the whole?
No, it's for the comments on village business. The other one was agenda topics. You can wait. Okay. All right.
My thing is on the to-do in the park, when we were riding through the park, and saw what we saw. An email was sent to each of you. I don't know if you had your email or not.
Yes, you did.
I know that there's been a little bit of controversy over it, but it's something that I feel needed to be said, in my opinion, because I felt that it was an insurance liability. I don't know that, I mean, you just pray that nothing like that ever happens anywhere, but accidents do happen. And unfortunately, unless it's brought to the attention of others, not everybody sees everything. So if it caused controversy, I apologize for that, but I don't apologize for it. But I just hope that things are beginning to be looked at more and more.
And it's my understanding that that has been taken care of.
Well, see, how would I know that? I'm not a trustee.
We just found out tonight coming in too. So you're finding out just a little bit after we are.
Okay, so it'd be nice to respond to the email that was sent to you. Okay?
Marcia Cherry?
Marcia, excuse me, your last name is?
Cherry, C-H.
R-Y? Okay.
I'm here again to complain about the work back. You all did a wonderful job filling it in. Now you guys have someone that is cutting the grass back there. And they're blowing all of their grass down in front of my back of my fence, filling up the hole where the water cannot go in, and it's coming up under my fence into my yard. So you all need to check on who cuts that grass, that strip of grass there in the back, and why are they just blowing it from there all the way down to the back of my backyard? And the water cannot go down the drain because there's nobody cleaning it out. It comes into my yard. Whoever cuts the grass on the main street side, when they get down to that end again, they leave all the grass there. And it's making it ugly, difficult for me to even keep up my part of my grass, because all of that, when it rains and blows, it's coming into my yard. But when they do it all the way down the other way, it's all cleaned up. So I want to know who's responsible for this. Who do I talk to? Who do I go to?
Me?
You? Well, tell me who cuts the grass. And why do they leave it at that point?
They probably don't even think about it.
Yes, they do. Because if you blow it all the way from there to there, maybe you're thinking.
Okay.
You're cutting it and you're thinking. If you're cutting it from there to here in your break, you see, you're not a fool. You're not crazy. You just need a big cut, but you don't do it all the way down there. And you don't do it from down there, but you bring all of that from there to here. And we've already had a problem.
I'll have them blow it in the other direction and make sure that the drain is open, okay?
I would appreciate it. I want to use my yard just like you're using yours. And I need to get back there because I'm trying to fix on the outside of that fence so it will be decent and ordered. And no weeds will grow into that system that you fixed. But I can't get back there because all of that is causing more mud. So,
All right.
could you please give me a break here?
Yeah,
Please, I appreciate it.
thank you.
And I need another problem. It has been brought to my attention by my niece. There's a car in the morning when she comes out that is parked down there by where they have to catch the school bus. And this young person is always sitting in there speaking to young girls. So we need to have somebody out there in the morning, and when they get off the bus, who do I talk to?
What,
That'd be the police.
The police.
Did you call the police?
No, she did not.
Did you?
I was out of town, no. I just got back. I had 3 deaths in the family. And she was telling me, she tells me everything, Granny. This went on. I told Mom and Daddy, but they said that they'll check on it, but you know,
what,
the deaths.
what intersection do
I
they?
don't want nothing to happen to these kids.
Where does this happen at, ma'am?
Right there off of it, I'm on the corner 1835 and Erie Vista Drive. and the bus stops in the middle of the block to get the kids.
On Prairie Vista.
Yeah, and this car, and I noticed the same car, I did call last year. The same car was parked at the end of that block, start parking where I live, and we had to go out there and ask them, why you parked here?
I'd get the license plate and call the police.
Yeah.
We'll check it out.
We'll check it out.
Because we
get it.
need to protect these children.
Yeah.
You need to call right away, though.
Yeah,
instead of
don't
waiting
don't let
2
something like
weeks
that
to do
slip.
a meeting.
Out of town for funerals, and she was telling me, she said, Granny, now she saw him this morning, he didn't stop, but he slowed up, and she was scared to come out to go get on the bus.
Yeah.
I don't blame her.
We need to have, somebody to drive when those kids have to get on that bus. Because that's not fair, you can live your life, why are you trying to take somebody else's? That's not fair.
What time does she catch the bus?
The bus gets there about
8 in the morning, brings the kids back about 4.
Is it there at 4 too?
Yeah. But it's a different color car.
Or it's the same guy?
But I don't know if it's the same guy because I haven't seen it, but I'm saying it's cars with men's in it and they shouldn't be there.
Well, sometimes
They could be picking up their
you
kid.
could be picking up their kids.
I have tons of people in my neighborhood that park their cars.
Yeah.
We are people that we know each other.
Sure, sure.
We get to know because if you're not gonna be there, we tell one another, okay, I'm going out of town, I won't be there. I used to be there every morning, but I'm volunteer doing other work now. So I had to let them know that, so we can keep up to
Sure.
protect our children. So everybody knows, okay, who's doing what, when, the mother's gonna do it, somebody's there, okay, Marsha, somebody, we tell my daughter-in-law, no, he won't be there. Because if we have to pick up your child to bring it to my house, then that's what we do.
Sure.
Because these are little kids that's trying to live a life and get a life.
What? I know the police have this saying, what is it? See it, report it. I mean, you see that suspicious car, don't
Report
wait.
it right away.
Report it right away. So, and let your daughter know that as well.
Oh, if I say, I don't need the police. It ain't gonna be that way. Because ain't nobody taking his life, and I don't feel that he has the right to take somebody else's. But, this needs to be just monitored. Because it is going on now, and it wasn't going on before.
All right. Thank you.
And I appreciate you to check on that, sweetie.
Will.
All right, schedule of meetings. Planning Commission, 6 PM, May 16th. ADA Transition Plan Committee, 6 PM, May 21st. Village Board, 6 PM, May 28th. Utility Oversight Subcommittee meeting, June 10th. Public Properties and Recreation Committee, July 8th. Do we have a reason for closed session?
You can either have a closed session after this meeting or after the committee of the whole, whichever
Committee
you
of the whole.
choose.
Yeah, do it after committee.
I have a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Mao,
I'll second.
second by trustee Mann. All those in favor?
Aye.
Call to order for the committee of the whole meeting. Roll call.
Trustee Mann,
Present.
trustee Hurd,
Present.
trustee Charo,
Present.
trustee Mao,
Here, yes.
trustee Detmers,
Here.
and trustee Sherrill.
Present.
Okay, any public comments on agenda topics? Darlene, did you say last time what you said? Okay. So I have a motion to bring the consent agenda forward.
Moved.
All right.
I'll second.
Trustee Sherschel, seconded by trustee Detmers. Any discussion? All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Ayes have it. Old business ordinance prohibiting the use of groundwater as a potable water supply by installation or use of potable water supply wells or by any other method.
Sorry to have to make you say that entire time.
Yeah, Thank you.
There's no new update on this. If you keep it on old business, hopefully we'll have something at the next meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, he'll have you say it next time too,
Yes.
but then won't have an update.
Can we shorten it?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll shorten it.
Can you say
Yeah.
potables like Alex Trebek for us?
All right, new business, CMT engineering updates. Jim?
Okay, good evening. A couple of items here to talk about. Park Avenue, we're wrapping up with that here. Probably maybe another week or two before we get the striping down. There was a change that the village did consider. We're going to add bike lanes to Park Avenue down both sides. The traffic will be moved to the middle, eliminating the bidirectional turn lane.
I have a question about that. So what, I know roads are X wide. When you put bike lanes on both sides and narrow that, how much, because we also talk about fire engines and their turning abilities and cars and, bicyclists. So how does that affect the width of the roads, the width of the fire engines, the cars,
The through lanes will remain the same width. Basically what we're doing is taking the bidirectional turn lane in the middle and then reappropriating that as bike lanes on the outside. So it'll be a 4-foot bike lane on each side of the roadway, and then traffic will be moved towards the center. More two-way traffic as opposed to being divided by a median.
will you still have the turn lanes at Plummer and at Gore or at Walnut?
Yes, those will remain.
Because
Just at Walnut, not Park, right? Or not at Plummer.
Plumber doesn't have a turn lane.
I know it currently doesn't.
Configuration, we'll still have that narrower median at
Right.
Plummer to make sure the traffic's funneled through there, because we didn't do the channelization because of the sight distance issues at the bridge. So,
Right.
when you have two vehicles pulled up alongside of each other, which was the original design when the roadway was built, for the years that was consolidated into a single lane, because then it was easier for a person either going straight or turning right to see the traffic traveling on Palmer Boulevard, as opposed to having to look through a car that's in the left turn lane and then trying to see beyond that. So,
Right.
and we've talked about this before in terms of sight distance, and everything does meet policy at that location, and it's weird, but there's just an absence of crashes there. It just doesn't have the safety concerns or the accident data that would support actions beyond what's there.
Yeah, there's the chief.
What was there before construction will be replaced in time after construction. Let's see, MFT resolution, Pat hit on that earlier. Most of the focus of this year's MFT expenditures is going to be maintenance type activities. We're going to be doing concrete patching, similar to what you've seen along Ptarmigan. Bituminous patching, there'll be some oil and chip activities. Walnut through town, and then east of town is going to get some updates to the shoulders because there's a severe drop off there. And then we'll focus on some concrete sidewalk and curbing and just do the maintenance activities there, with saving a little bit of the MFT money aside for larger future projects. So there's limited MFT funds, but what we're trying to do is save over the course of a few years so we can do another Park Avenue type project.
Yeah.
In 3, 4, 5 years. So
Mentioning the sidewalk, for those area in towns where there's like a sidewalk chunk missing between house to house, are you guys looking at that and seeing if it's the developer is going to come in?
correct. That's another area that Mayor Kinsey's talked with Pat, and Pat and I have had some discussions on that, and forwarded to Pat later this afternoon. I have an update of where all the letter of credits stand associated with all the active subdivisions in town, or ones that have active letters of credit out there. So the subdivision's been completed for, say, a decade or not, but we do have a summary of those, and we're going to target two, working with Sorling on this. South Park Commons Plat 2 and South Park Plat 1. It's going to be our trial run of trying to collect on old letters of credit for either latent construction defects or improvements that were never made as part of the subdivision that were part of the original plan. So both those developers are long gone, but the letters of credit still exist. So we're going to start marching down this list and knocking on doors and seeing what kind of funds we can get to make some of those improvements.
Aaron from your office put a couple letters together, and when all the water stuff started with the painting and everything else, it got put to the back burner, and we haven't really done anything with it. So he looked at both of those letters, and we're going to turn around and put the numbers in there and send them out and see what we get. So, and then we'll start preparing other ones for all the other subdivisions.
Okay.
With respect to the MFT funds, you mentioned that we had a few projects in mind. Is there a way that we can get a list of those? Because often people will ask me, what about my street? When's it on the list? And, it sounded like you had sort of the monies that we were to receive, that we had some plans for them.
There's no plans per se associated with the MFT funds. They're all maintenance activities, with the exception of the remainder of the expenditures for park. So a lot of the activities that we're talking about, concrete patching, sidewalk, oil and chip, those are going to be, there are allotments towards maintenance activities, and then we'll coordinate those activities associated with either highest and best use or most immediate need.
So those funds haven't been sort of earmarked for a particular spot on Walnut Street? Okay.
The Walnut one is the only one that's.
But I heard you mention it.
Yes, because that's something that we've worked with the street crew, and they're starting to see the pavements ravel on the edges, and there's a significant drop off on the side of the roadway. Plus, with that being a 2-lane roadway out to the east, if there's vehicles, say in the morning where heavy traffic, there's not even really a way for a car to pull off the side of the road to let an emergency vehicle through. Without a 4, 5, 6 inch drop off at that location. But that's really been the only item that's been identified or earmarked specifically for a location. The rest of it is kind of at will. So.
Right. Yeah, thank you. And one other thing, I mentioned this before, but I think I'm just haven't figured it out yet, but it may benefit Trustee Charo as well. There was that study done where we surveyed the roadways, and I was hoping to get the result of that study. I think somebody mentioned to go to your website, but I was unsuccessful in finding it there. So, where
Graded.
Partridge or Deerfield or whatever had a grade of 6 or 7 or 12 or whatever it was, could we maybe receive that final report?
Sure.
Thank you.
I'll work with Pat in terms of getting the data available on the GIS platform so we can look at it. It's the data is presented or tagged all to GIS information. So what ends up happening is all the streets in town are kind of listed almost like a heat graph. Worst roads in red and the best roads in blue, and then you see that color variation through. Shading through orange and green and yellow. And,
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, some residents have just asked me, hey, could you get my street fixed? And I would like to respond to them and say, hey, look, we've got a lot of need in the village, and you're an 8, and there are many folks with 4s. That it would just help guide my conversations a little better.
And even then, you have to add the little caveat that, in front of your house might be absolutely terrible. It might be all busted up.
Sure.
But it's only affecting your driveway and your next door neighbor's driveway.
Yeah, I think
In a cul-de-sac, and then we have to turn around and look and say, okay, well, we've got $25,000 to do in repairs of this type. Do I do, Ptarmigan, that's a long street that a lot of people use? Or do I do a cul-de-sac over here that is going to benefit 2 or 3 people?
Yeah, I think
That's
I understand
the tough
that.
part.
Right, I understand the need to prioritize, and I think that's important, but it just would help me to have informed discussions if I had, some idea of where that strip of roadway sat in the overall picture of Chatham.
And as Pat mentioned, the priorities of recent have been towards the higher ADT roadways, the larger roadways that have the larger usage. So focusing on, the Ptarmigans, the Plumbers, the Park Streets, the Gordon Drives, the Oak Works, for that bigger bang those are gonna be more costly roadways in the future to rehab or, fully repair, if we let them go completely to zero.
Right. Yeah. Like for instance, I'll have somebody in a neighborhood that's got a, decent bump in front of his house. And then I'll think of the Hurstbourne intersection on Gordon, which is terrible. So it's like, I can make those observations by my untrained eye, but it would be easier if I could just point them to this report that says, look, that's a 4 and you're a 7. I don't mean to be rude, but you're in line, you're in queue.
Yeah, and it takes the squeaky wheel gets the grease out of the equation too.
Right, which is something that I'm an advocate of.
So it definitely gears it towards need-based instead of popularity-based.
Yep.
Isn't that the packet that's like I call it the $23 million packet? Okay.
Yes. If you're to fix everything, it's, $23 million.
Yeah.
So whatever you guys want to do to help.
Reasonable.
Thank you for getting that to us.
We're letting it ride in Vegas. We'll see.
Red or black.
Yeah.
Green.
I think we put Kimsey up as the bet, so we'll see what happens.
Thank you.
A couple of other items, we're working also, updated the flushing program. It's been a few years now that, we did the system-wide flushing program, and the intent of that program is moving forward, that we would tackle a third of the village, based on the way the distribution system works. It's kind of divvied into thirds, in terms of how the water gets into the system and how it goes out through the distribution system. So, with the data that was collected during the first flushing program, we're going to update the mapping, update the modeling, and then do another round of just 1/3 of the village this coming year. And then next year would be a second third, and next year would be the final third, and then just go on that rotation all the way through. Whereas the first year that we did everything in 1 year. So
When's the time frame for this, for the first phase?
it'll probably be fall when the flushing program actually takes place, just during non-peak hours, or non-peak time and demand. So as we're moving into the summer months here, focus will be on just getting the distribution system, producing as much water as possible. But then when demand started dying off in the fall, then the water department would focus on the flushing program at that time.
And the first third will be like the Manor Hill side, right? That was the first third.
First phase is coming in from the ground storage tank.
Yep.
Coming down Walnut back to the tower, and then kind of the southeast portion of the village.
Speaking of water, and you may be covering this later, but do we have any idea of the chloramines at this point? Are we still in a holding pattern on that?
I talked to the plant manager. He said that they sent the wrong quill, which I don't know what. The only thing I could think of was a quill is like a feather pin, but
Yeah.
they said they sent the wrong quill for this, and they had to order it, and it is not in yet. But when that comes in, I still ask them to give us a 2-week notice so that we can let all of our residents know that we're gonna switch over in 2 weeks, but so I have not got that call from him, but I did check with him this week. And,
So soon, Matt, soon.
no.
What did I say
would
about
never-
that word?
Yeah.
9 months.
So then, last item is, we'll be working with Pat to initiate the phase 1 studies along Walnut. You guys had received some grant money from Springfield Area Transportation Study, so that can begin here with the new fiscal year moving forward. And last board meeting, we talked about some items or study items that would come out of that phase 1 study that can be used to apply for different grants as well for funding opportunities for village and local projects.
There was one other thing that we both kind of worked on a little bit, and that's with the Sangamon, Springfield Lake area reclamation. What it is they try to take care of all the watersheds that feed into Lake Springfield. So we met with those folks, and our big problem feeding into the lake comes essentially from on the west side of Route 4, south of town. It runs over, goes underneath Route 4, runs over, runs underneath the railroad tracks, comes through the farm field where our buildings and all that equipment is, heads down, floods out the people on Park Avenue and along there, then works its way over and then floods out the park. Then it gets back in its banks and usually works its way and gets it into the lake. If we can capture silt and stop a lot of runoff to go into those areas, Lake Springfield is happy, same in reclamation area is happy. So we're looking to try to see if we can do a project with them. Lake Springfield actually, or City of Springfield actually funds some of those projects because they don't want silt running into their lake. So we'll be working with them over the next month to see if we can put a project together.
So is that the idea of maybe putting a small pond out there?
It's a possibility.
In our territory?
Yeah.
So I skimmed that report last year, I think, when they came out, and looks like they're pushing an awful lot of blame off on us, even though most of the runoff is beyond us. You know, it's beyond our control, but that, at least that's the way I read that report, is that the blame's gonna fall on the village of Chatham, but we have no control.
If you pick an arbitrary number and say you can't have more than, if the number is 4, leave in your area.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know what the number is when it came into our area. If it was a 3 coming in and it left as a 4, then we're a 1.
Right.
They don't want to take that into account.
And while the rules have been kind of mandated through our UVA in terms of phosphorus loads and sediment loads, they're not being policed because there are no practical ways to be able to govern that or measure that. To say that we're discharging 3 pounds of phosphorus from the entire village into Lake Springfield from 7 different locations. Now, is that during initial rain? Is it on an average per daily basis? Is it maximum per day basis? These are all questions that we did, field through the EPA, and they had no answers for it. So while the report's there, the mandate's there, there's no one that's looking at that. We're still following best management practices, passing the ordinance for, erosion controls associated with smaller lots and individual lots helps that because it's sediment that takes that phosphorus downstream, latches onto it and carries it down to the lake. So we're doing our part. We're doing additional monitoring as part of our MS4 activities as a village community, and that's a permit that the village has through the IEPA. So we're doing what we can, and we're doing best management practices, which is keeping practical about it, without going overboard. Now, as Pat said, it could be a 4 coming in town and leaving as a 5, or it could be a 4 coming in town and leaving as a 3. Well, to determine that involves a lot of equipment, a lot of very expensive equipment, testing, monitoring that, manning that equipment, and so forth. No one's asking for that at this point. So until the mandates come down and the rules come out in terms of how are you to monitor this, what are EPA requirements to monitor this, we're doing what we can from a practical standpoint and a best neighbor standpoint, looking at the lake downstream. Now, as Pat mentioned, working with NRCS, looking at, okay, what can we do as a village? Are there opportunities within the park, within the pond area next to the maintenance building? Are those facilities that would meet their needs in terms of, sediment reduction, phosphorus reduction? Do they feel that those are viable projects that will handle that? And importantly to the village, are there secondary benefits that we have? Can it reduce the flooding in the park? Can it, improve some of the areas, usable areas in the park if we do this? So looking for alternate funding sources that help them, but also help us, is kind of the goal with NRCS on this. Their goal is reduce sediment and phosphorus in the lake. Our goal is, let's see if we can improve the village of Chatham and also be a good neighbor. So if there's money available to do that and it meets, and both of our goals are in the same alignment, it makes sense. If they're not, then we pass on it. But I agree with you. There's mandates there that they're throwing it on the Village of Chatham. We agree with that. We wrote a certified letter on behalf of the Village of Chatham, submitted that to the EPA, being part of the record documents, that we don't agree with this, that it's not practical, that it's not even possible to monitor this, that there are no standards set for it. What they're trying to do is put a point source load requirement on a non-point source load facility. So yes, if we have a chemical plant that's dumping chemicals at a rate into a creek, yes, you can measure that. It's coming out of this pipe and goes into this creek, and you can monitor that right away. But when everything's gathered from farm fields for miles and miles upstream from watershed, it's impossible to say, well, was it this guy's lawn? Was it the farm field? Was it the park? Was it the golf course? I mean, Polecat Creek runs through Piper Glen Golf Course before it goes out in the lake. Is it us? Is it Piper Glen? Hard to say, unless you actually put a gauging and monitoring station there. So we agree with you 100%. We've had these discussions before. We're just doing our best in terms of, I'm not going to say low cost, but reasonable cost items that make sense, that portray us as being a good neighbor, and not necessarily just checking the box, but doing a good job. Using these construction sites, going out and checking this, and getting ordinances in place, setting policies in place, public education, and so forth. So until they come back and say you must do this, these are mandates, we're going to keep doing what we're doing.
Well, and to top it off, I like the idea of creating a small pond out there for fishing and recreational use if we can, so.
We had Massey and Massey here last night, and they were talking about different ideas for different park areas, but they didn't look at that one. And I pointed it out to Kent last night. I said, we really ought to take a look at this. And we do have one more year left on the farm contract, so they'll be able to farm that this year. But then after this fall, the contract's expired. So if we want to do a pond or do any changes to the way that looks out there, then it's back on us then. So
I really like the idea of putting a little fishing pond out there of some sort for park use.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Village manager update.
mine are mostly dates and times. This Friday, March 17th, we'll have a pre-bid meeting here in this room at 1 o'clock.
May 17th?
May 17th, what'd I say? March?
March.
St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah.
You're
Day before my birthday.
you're way ahead. Aren't you?
Yeah. So that'll be a pre-bid meeting for the leaf bag RFP and also the branch RFP. Then on May 24th, which is a week after that, we will open the bids that we have at 1 o'clock in this room. May 28th, our next board meeting, propose to have the IBEW contract that I'll talk to you about tonight in executive session on the agenda for passage. June 11th, we will review the 2020 budget at the committee of the whole. And June 25th is the plan to be able to pass the budget for next year.
You said June 25th.
Uh-huh.
Okay. In regards to the leaf and branch pickup, I saw we were removing, and somebody had cut their entire tree, like a 80-year-old tree up, and put it on the side of the road, and we were removing it. So I think us going out to bid is really good.
I think some people
We've
are
removed an entire tree.
thinking that it's possible this is going away, so they're just getting rid of everything they can to take it.
Literally, the trunk was 4.5 feet.
Well, that wouldn't be permissible for us to pick up.
It is.
The trunk.
What we had done was we had a certain size of pile, and people were violating those and then just leaving them there. And then they would call the mayor and complain that, well, you picked up this guy's pile, but you didn't take all of mine. So that's when Dave said, just start picking everything up. And that's what we've been
against
doing.
our ordinance.
It is, but that's what we've been doing, because all we got is complaints all the time.
So
So that's why we're getting out of the business.
yeah.
Now, it says in the ordinance, there's a 8-inch, I think it's 8-inch in diameter and 10 feet long is the biggest piece of wood that
We should pick up.
Well, to me, then this is some of the bad apple soured the whole thing.
Mm.
Well, I think
But
that,
that's
I think
always
what
the
we,
case.
that we had
That's
talked
always
about
the case.
was that if nature brought the tree down, then the village would help clean it up. But if a registered tree trimmer / tree service took it down, it's the citizen's obligation. So when you talk about the trunk, I would ask if the weather took that trunk down or if service did. And if the service did, they can call and complain all day long. It's not fair, it's not honest, and we shouldn't pick it up.
But what citizen's gonna be like, well, that was cut down, when they know that the villages are gonna pick it up?
Oh, no, it fell.
Yeah, it fell.
You can
Yeah,
tell.
would
if you fell or not.
would
can
you
tell
say
them.
it was cut down if it's getting moved for
This-
free?
I'm an
That
honest
tree on
person, I
Gordon
would.
Drive,
Yeah,
it did fall over.
Yeah.
A good piece of it broke off and fell out into the street.
part of it.
Because Barry had to go over there.
Yes.
And then they turn around and drug off what they could.
Right.
Now, the landowner,
Cut
he
the
either
rest of the
cut the
tree
rest
down.
himself or hired somebody to cut the rest
So
of it.
like the top
And
half,
instead of disposing it of himself, he just left it there and figured he'd
like
leave
a,
it there
the
until
top
somebody
third of the
came and
tree
got it.
fell off.
Yeah.
A good chunk of it fell off, and then he cut the rest up, and then we removed it too. So, all right. Next, Utility Oversight Subcommittee or Committee discussion. We haven't had one. We will in June. ADA Transition Plan Committee update.
Yeah, so I need another trustee volunteer now that Terry is no longer one. So I need another trustee.
What time are your meetings?
They have been at 6 o'clock on what would be the third Tuesday, so it would be next week's Tuesday of every month that we meet.
I will volunteer if no one else does. So.
Okay.
I think that guarantees nobody else. will volunteer. I like the way you handle that.
Does trustee Charo want to?
That's what I was gonna
Matt
say.
can have it. We're
And
not gonna go into this battle right now.
so as an update as to what the committee is doing, we're very close on a document that will set the ADA requirements for the village. We're real close. However, Terry's kind of got that held hostage right now. I've got to get that out of his hands.
The sooner we can get that, the better.
Right,
because
we're-
We're gonna put sidewalks in, and also with the Parks Plans Comprehensive Plan, we would like for them to be able to review and see what you guys have in that, so.
Yeah, so I mean, we're real close with that. I know that there is a nominee out there that I believe President Kimsey has to appoint our third citizen back onto the board. We've had a lot of problems meeting because there's really only been 4 of us on the committee. So anytime any one of the other, either one of the citizens or myself or Terry weren't available, we could not meet anymore. So we need to get that position filled out so it's able to work efficiently and finish the work that we've been working on really since, well, Joe, you were on it when it was originally started, so.
I think the problem there was that we never ever did get a bio or anything or a letter or an email requesting that person. You know, like I said, everybody else has either sent something to me or sent
Okay.
something to Dave.
See, I was under the impression that we had, so.
I have nothing for that committee.
Okay, all right, I'll have to follow up on that then. And so with that completed, it sets the requirements for the ADA coordinator for the village, which is one of the mandated positions that we're supposed to have. It sets the job description in that document and several other things, which we've talked over the years on how we're gonna, address that, either add to the responsibilities as assigned as a current employee or come up with a part-time position to fulfill that. Or volunteer, if there's one of those that's out there. Volunteer?
Oh, no, Trustee Charles, I think, would be good for that position.
So that's what's going on with the ADA. And so I will follow up with getting the resume of the appointee that had volunteered, and hopefully we can get that done and assigned for the next, at the next meeting.
It doesn't have to be elaborate.
No, yeah.
12-point font.
Public Property and Recreation Committee discussion.
Yeah, we met last night, roughly 2.5 hour meeting. So very good, very informative for those of you that can watch that on YouTube. We discussed the pickleball courts and the conversion from tennis to pickleball. I believe it was next Tuesday that they intend to go out and pour the posts for the pickleball, and it will be roughly 1 month for that concrete to cure. At that point, we'll start finishing the surface, putting up the nets, finishing the fencing, and pickleball will be ready to roll. So maybe a month, month and a half, 2 months, be playing some pickleball. I'll beat any other trustee
I'll take that
Taking
challenge. I'll take that challenge.
making that statement here.
Oh, I'll take that too. So, did you say it was recorded last night?
No.
It wasn't? Oh,
I was like, who's recording it?
I thought for sure we were recording it.
Well, thanks, Dewey.
Yeah.
Now we can't go watch it.
Anyway, this meeting's recorded in my offer stance. We talked about the current maintenance at the park. We did some tree trimming at the community park. I think it looks great near the tennis courts. There's more that needs to be done. Friends of the Park, again, I want to talk about this. The Friends of the Park donated $2,200 for wood chips to be used at community park. So those will be spread soon, I hope. And thank you to the Friends of the Park for doing that. Discussed potential dog park in Chatham. Again, this is popular by some folks, and they're out there raising monies, and I don't think this board has necessarily talked about it. So give some thought, please, to whether or not you think a dog park is welcome in Chatham. If you have any ideas of where that might be, please let that committee know.
I thought we did discuss it probably. Yes, bless you. We did discuss it probably a year ago, didn't we? About where the ball diamonds are.
Yeah, we've talked about things sort of informally.
Yeah.
And I think that this group in particular, and as well as some of those seeking funds, have a difficult time understanding and raising funds if the village hasn't committed to anything. Right. So do you want to be part of somebody's dream? And it's hard for them to get people to pay for that. Yeah. So I feel like if this board could somehow suggest that this is something that we would take seriously, then it would be easier for those folks to raise funds from, corporate donors that want their name on the sign or whatever.
I did want to mention, unless you were going to Saturday night, the Globe Bingo for that's for the dog park, isn't it? At, where is that at?
Yeah,
where's that at?
The JCs are hosting a Globe Bingo event, but that's for both the pickleball and monies that we've donated there. I can share that information soon, but I would assume it's at the reception hall. Again, the dog park, I would like the board to think about that, and if this is something that we're not interested in doing, then I think that we owe it to the folks that are trying to raise money to tell them that.
Do you want a consensus now of whether people would be for it? So you guys can have more serious discussions on.
The one thing that I'd like you guys to consider, though, is we're putting together this comprehensive plan.
Right.
We're going to go out and talk to the public. We're going to have open houses and stuff.
Yeah.
You're going to get some feedback there.
Sure.
But also, the Massey and Massey come up with some different ideas in different locations for the dog park last night. So instead of just saying, you know what, it doesn't make any difference what our comprehensive plan people are saying, we're going to put it right here. If we do that, we are still at least a year away because that area floods so badly. We're going to come in, take all the fences down.
I don't think we're saying put it there. We're just saying, I think you want to know if the board's interested in a dog park.
And
But do you want to find out if the public is interested in it?
Sure. Yeah, you'd want that too.
and if you want it to be even a little bit more formal, we probably ought to put it on an agenda.
An agenda to have
Even if it's
discussion.
a committee of the whole, so that way,
Yep.
it's clear that we're talking about it and.
Well, I would even like to see
Consensus.
from, and I appreciate that you're on this committee,
Yeah.
Trustee Detmers, what's, in any given year, what's the top priorities and recommendations from this committee?
So if you were to go back and watch the video that doesn't exist, then you'll have heard me talk to that board about, or that committee about, the need to be fiscally responsible and to, establish priorities and give the village trustees and the village board some direction as to what the overall consensus of that group is. And that's something that is lacking and something that I'm trying to resolve here tonight, which is communication up and down. And that group is interested in a dog park, and we haven't formally brought that to you, but I would like you to consider that over the next few weeks or months. So again, I don't want a consensus today. I think the appropriate way is to review the park comprehensive plan, which I'm about to talk about, and then go from there. But just think about it if you could.
What were some of the proposed locations of that dog park?
Yep, so the next item on the agenda is the comprehensive public property study, which we all agreed to, the Massey and Massey group, represented last night by Kent Massey. Basically had some off the top of his head ideas and drawings of what our existing village parks might look like if we were to go that route. They're beautiful. His point was we can just have an open forum and say, what would you like to see a community park? But it's a lot easier for somebody to look at a drawing of someone's conception and then respond to it.
Right.
So he just threw something out there quickly about what these parks might look like. We intend at this point to have public forums, likely at the library, similar to the comprehensive plan, in which we engage the public and ask their opinions. Here's an idea. Do you like a water fountain? Would you rather have a driving range? Whatever.
And I would say too, if you're seeking funds, and to your point earlier, in order to engage donors or someone to give, having a drawing is going to make a big difference, because not only us having consensus, but, whoever's having that conversation with a donor, having that drawing to show that will also go a long way.
Yep. Yeah, and that's the intent, and not to the private donors, but also grants and such.
Right.
If we have a plan in place, then it's
Right.
easier to seek those. So again, look for more from that. The PPRC will help facilitate that with Kent Massey. And as for your question, again, there were proposals at each of our parks for different reasons. So the drawings will be interesting if you get a chance to see them. Two other things quickly. We are reviewing the rental prices for reserving public spaces. So we will be bringing that to you over the next few weeks or meetings. Again, just what would it cost for me to rent out Diamond Number 1 at Community Park? So those fees are being updated in a new system, the new reservation system. So we talked about that. The last thing is just that we reviewed what the Public Properties Commission was and its intent, and are we following the ordinances that established it? We will be making requested changes to the ordinance. Not very major, but there will be some requests.
On the,
What those are?
At least one. Item 3303 says that the commission shall meet at least once a month. It currently meets every other month. So just little things like that we'll clean up. And, another thing, we will read our minutes or present our minutes and our year's activities at an annual meeting. I want to increase that frequency and get you the update from 2018.
I have a feeling we'll get a lot more updates with you on there now.
You'll have to listen to me even more.
And I welcome it.
Yes, agree.
as far as the reservation system of the ball diamonds and the costs, have you guys considered a in-community cost versus an
Yes, there are.
out-of-community cost?
Yep, there are different rates depending on whether or not you're a resident. Or if you live on Deerfield.
Which should be cheaper, right?
No, on the west side. Well, that was it. Thanks for listening.
Thank you. I didn't have anybody write down for public comments on this, but does anybody have public comments? Village business? All right.
I'd like to say one thing, I'm not gonna go up there though. Pat always turns the, tape on when you guys go into closed session. And actually, your meeting is not over until you come back out of that meeting and adjourn.
Sure.
Really is only fair to the public that they see that you actually do that.
Agree. So tonight when we go in, just leave it on and we'll come back out. Turn it off after we're done.
Turn it back on when you.
Can't do that.
Oh, you can?
Yeah, because it's one continuous.
Kills the file. It kills the feed. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Darlene.
But just beware, if you guys say anything in here, it'll be on the camera, which I don't like leaving the room doing that. I really don't.
But we probably, it should be on there.
Well, there's no obligation to tape the meeting.
To tape the meetings
No,
anyway,
you guys,
so
You know how you want to do it.
I think we should turn it off.
Do I have a consensus for that?
I would agree. I think we need to turn it off.
Only if, I could only agree to that if there were no further business, obviously. I think that
Yeah, we
if
do.
we,
Yeah.
if we have business, then we absolutely should
Sure.
continue our approach of being open and transparent.
Yep.
Your concern, Pat, was just that
Somebody say something or do something that is offensive to somebody and we have no control over, but we just fed it out to the public. I'm not interested in doing that if you guys
Well,
are.
as soon as we come out, we would turn it off, right?
No, we would turn it off right before we go and adjourn.
yeah, so we'll leave now and go into executive session and talk about something for 5 or 55 minutes, and then this will run the entire time.
Right, and there won't be anything.
And
We
there
won't
will
be
be
out here.
citizens in and out talking about whatever, and I think Pat's concern is
Well,
that one of
that's
those
true.
citizens may say something that's offensive, but they could stand up and say it now.
Yeah, because a private citizen could say something offensive and not know they're being recorded.
You know,
That's sticky.
Take a vote.
So trustee Mann, you're thinking we should shut it off?
Yes.
assuming no further business.
Trustee Charo?
Assuming no further business.
Yeah, assuming no further business. Trustee Charo?
I feel like it should be shut off.
Shut off. Dewey?
Leave it on.
Shut off, as long as there's no further business.
And I would go along with if no further business, and the only further business being adjourning the meeting.
Okay. I don't know that everybody sticks around, so I
What
say,
if somebody does?
yeah,
I mean, you could turn it off tonight and just continue to,
all right.
look at the issue too. I mean, if you decide you're gonna leave it on, probably would want to post some notices and.
Yeah, it doesn't,
Right, it's almost a privacy issue for the public.
and it doesn't matter what I think, because there's a consensus that we turn it off.
Yeah.
So, totally fine. Schedule of meetings, committee of the whole, 6:15, June 11th. Do we have a reason for closed session?
We do.
Yes.
And it's under personnel
No, it's under
or
Collective negotiation.
collective negotiating matter,
yeah.
2C2.
Yeah.
I have a motion to go into closed session.
I'll make a motion to go to closed session for collective negotiating matter, section 2C2.
Trustee Mao, seconded by
Second.
trustee Churchill. And there'll be no further business after this, correct? Okay.
Correct.
All in favor? Or do we need a roll?
Take the roll.
Roll.
Trustee Mann.
Yes.
Trustee Gerger.
Yes.
Charo.
Yes.
Trustee Detmer.
Yes.
Trustee Mao.
Yes.
Trustee Scherzer. Yes.
Thank you.
Shutting the camera off.